This is the Throstle Club with Norman Bartlam and Bob Downing.
Well, hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Throstle Club. Now, this is the programme which looks back on the long and illustrious history of West Bromwich Albion, and we speak to former players and supporters about their memories of our marvellous club, with a particular emphasis on this month in history. And of course, we're into August, and I'm at the studios as always of Black Country Radio Extra. Now, sitting alongside me, again, as always, is the man whose form rate, he says, is always excellent. None other than the former Sports Argus man, Bob Downing.
Hi, Norman.
And opposite, as always, is Black Country Radio's very own Billy Spakeman. And you'll be chipping in with comments, and you've been twiddling your knobs this week.
All August, yeah.
The whole
Only
of August.
Yeah.
Limbering
July was a bit busy,
and
so
slipping your levers forward and back,
Really?
back as well. Yeah. So there you go. So all
it's a family program. This is
all to keep us on air, or so you claim anyway. So I'd like to for both of you to. Now it's a bit special program today because we're on our best behaviour, aren't we, Billy?
we are.
We're on our best broadcasting behaviour.
Yeah, we've been.
Because we've got broadcasting royalty.
Yep.
With us, haven't we, Bob?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, Bob's here.
Yeah, it's Bob. Hello, Bob. Welcome to the programme. And sitting between us is somebody else then from broadcasting royalty. I wasn't going to do the leg end joke. I wasn't, but I have now, so I have a legend. The man with the face for radio and TV, of course, none other than the BBC's Nick Owen.
Hey.
Hi, thank you for asking me along. It's lovely to be here.
It is so far, anyway.
Yeah.
So,
He ain't done the quiz yet.
So no doubt you've got one or two things you can talk about with for your long career. So no doubt we've got plenty to talk about on this edition of the Throstle Club. The wonderful Hawthorns choir that's always getting us underway in the programme. The sound of football fans, it means something to people, doesn't it, Nick?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the whole thing about football crowds, I just love it. I love stadiums as well, even when they're empty.
Yeah, but you're a Luton fan, so you don't know anything about crowds.
So no, I don't know much about atmosphere, no.
Ooh, below the belt already.
Oh, so it's going to be that sort of programme.
Yeah.
Now, listen, a bit like the Albion, really. You've had the rough with the rough, really.
Yeah. I followed them through thin and thin.
Yeah, so let's get it right. So in the time that you've been supporting them, Luton became the first club to be relegated from the top division to the fourth, and to come all the way back from the fourth back up to the top. So you must have seen a hell of a number of grounds and matches over the years.
And then, of course, more recently, we went down again from the top flight to the conference. So I reckon Luton supporters have watched their team in a proper league game at more grounds than any other supporters in the country must have. Because, you know, I've seen them play at the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool and West Brom. I've also seen them play at Alfreton and Nuneaton in the league. So, you know,
so
the
that's
contrast
fantastic.
is astonishing.
There
really.
must be some fans out there that have seen every single game over the years as well. So the number of grounds they've backed up, that must be amazing.
Well, even my
It's
kids
really good.
are in the 90s with their grounds that they've seen. I've got four kids, and my two oldest, you know, have been watching since since the mid 80s. That's 40 years. You know.
So it's good that you've got your family tradition. And presumably
massively.
you started with your dad. His birthday wasn't your
Yeah,
dad.
that's
Obviously
right.
took you to your first game, did he?
Took me to my first game in 1958, September the 3rd. Leeds United 1-1. Alan Brown, the goal scorer, far post from across by Jimmy Adam.
I was about to say, can you remember your first game?
I mean, the moment you walk into the ground that's going to become the love of your life, it is such a spectacular moment. The atmosphere, the grass was so green beginning of the season, and green grass then was quite unusual, wasn't it? And you know, the goals with nets on, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And the hum in the ground, there's nothing like it. Even a small ground, mind you, in those days, Luton, you know, the record crowd was 30,000, so it regularly got 25,000, which is a decent crowd in a tiny ground. You just never forget that first game, that first moment you actually walk over into the ground, you suddenly see it all laid out in front of you.
Yeah, I know it's easy to sort of criticise Kenilworth Road, isn't it? But the positive thing is it is a small, compact ground, so it keeps the atmosphere in.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant for atmosphere. atmosphere. I'll be really sad when we go, and we'll be moving probably in 2 years' time, possibly 3. But we've got a sparkling new ground coming along in the centre of town, which is great, I think, in itself. Yeah, Kenworth Road, the atmosphere is something else, and it's a bit intimidating, I think, for players and fans alike. Particularly players, the crowd are right on top of you, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning. Yeah, fantastic. But it's not brilliant for the away fans coming in through that.
No.
Forgot the name of the road now, but you go
Oak.
basically through their houses
Oak Road, yeah.
on that man.
Yeah,
I often
because
think, what do the people who live in those houses immediately next to it?
Yeah.
Because you're going up the stairs and you're looking in people's bedrooms.
yeah. Well, they bought those houses in the knowledge that
Yeah,
that was
of
going to
course.
happen, because those houses were built after the ground, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so
Oh,
that
wasn't it?
stand
Yeah.
was there before those houses, as far as I know, and it was obviously a long time before my time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they will accept it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Now, Luton, because you're from that neck of the woods.
Yeah, I come from a little town called Berkhamsted in Hertfordshire, which is about 12, 13 miles from Luton. And all the time I was growing up, my friends and whatever were either Watford fans or Luton fans, because we were sort of equidistant. And my father was a Luton fan, so I got sort of hooked up. And it all started at the beginning of 1958. By the end of 1958, I'd been to my first few games, and I was just, you know, passionate from then on.
And you'd never have guessed, of course, then that you were going to end up becoming chairman.
No, not for a minute.
So how did that come about?
Well, I mean, I just suppose because I began to get quite a high profile in television, particularly in the 80s when I was doing breakfast television. You know, I was on air on the very first day of Good Morning Britain, and always had a Luton mug by me if I could. And then within 8 weeks of presenting the sport on there, I was asked to become the main presenter and replace David Frost. So I presented with Angela Rippon and Anna Ford, and then the management sacked them, amazingly. Said they were trying to change the image and making it a bit more like Boy and Girl Next Door. They said to me, who in a perfect world would you like to present with? And I said, Anne Darman. They said, who's Anne Darman? I said, well, we co-presented at Central TV, and we've always dreamed of having our own national show. And they said, can you, and Greg Dyke, who was then in charge, said, can you arrange for me to meet her? I met in a pub that night. 6 weeks later, she was sitting next to me. My profile got higher and higher doing breakfast telly, and then I became ITV Sports main presenter, and then there was Good Morning with Anne and Nick, and because of that, I was pretty well known amongst Luton fans in particular. And when the club was in dire straits in the 2007-8, that sort of area, they put together a consortium to try and save the club, and they wanted me to front it. Not involved financially, because I'm not in that league financially remotely. They just wanted me
I was
to
going to ask you for a fiver.
They just wanted a sort of face, for want of a better word, to front the consortium, and that's what I did for about nearly 10 years. And you know, I'm very proud. I'm glad my father was still alive to see that. To see that, and also to see the Nick Owen Lounge. So.
Oh yes, of course, the great Nick Owen Lounge. Yeah. And we need to mention Eric Morecambe as well later in the programme.
Yeah.
As well, right? Yeah, we'll talk loads more a little bit later. But first of all, we usually talk about stuff that's in the news, don't we, Bob? Just briefly today, I suppose, because we've got lots to talk about. Pre-season, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
I think Saturday boosted a lot of people. It improved the mentality, I think, of the Albion fans, having won 3-2 after sort of a couple of not too brilliant performances. But you have to keep saying that pre-season, there's a lot of things going on. The manager's got to know about the players. The players have got to know what the manager wants them to do. And the pre-season is all about that. It's all getting used to each other and getting used to a pattern of play. And it may be they might have just clicked on Saturday. I mean, opening game of the season will tell everything. But, I think it's this time of the season, everybody is thinking, yeah, it's going to be our season. By Christmas, thinking, well, maybe not. But
Maybe November.
maybe, yeah. But no, I think we're talking about the signings. I still think they need probably another couple. But the central defence looks really solid again. It was interesting, I think, to a lot of Albion fans on Saturday that Torjum Hegan was playing, because there'd been a lot of talk on the Friday about Bologna and a 10 million euro deal. And I remember saying to my daughter's partner, if Hegan plays, he ain't going. If he doesn't play, he'll probably be on the flight to Bologna. And he played, so I would think, unless something happens in the next 48, 72 hours, You don't play somebody in a pre-season friendly when there's a €10 million deal on the table.
Yep. Now this season, of course, there's lots more games on TV. I mean, Sky, say for the Premiership, they've got 215 live games instead of 128 they had last year. That seemed an absurd number of games to me. And even ITV have got some live games again this year.
Yeah.
And in fact, Wrexham West Brom is one of the games that's going to be featured live on ITV.
It's probably a good job because I think it's already sold out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it probably is.
I think most of the Wrexham games are going to be sold out.
Yeah.
Until they get to the Premier Division and they put the prices up.
The thing is, football is such a cash cow now, isn't it? I mean, people are just fanatical about it. And so the more the television companies can get it on their screens, the better from their point of view.
There was I'm sure I've seen a story somewhere, and I don't know whether it's Netflix, but they're talking about streaming every game at 3:00 kickoff.
Yes, I've seen that somewhere. Can't believe it'll happen. I mean, it's anathema. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, wasn't it? I mean, the whole concept of showing football at 3:00 in the afternoon.
I mean, we're not talking that long ago, where Bob Lord, who was chairman of Burnley, said he was never going to have cameras in his ground because it would affect the attendance. And a lot of chairmen of Football League clubs were thinking the same. And now, I mean...
But the difference is, the money from television is so big, it's the most important chunk of their income.
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, it's damn nearly their only income.
Yeah. Right, let's move on. A bit of a sad thing as well to mention is that a good West Bromwich Albion fan of many years standing, good friend of ours as well, Bob, Paul Roberts from Tipton has passed away. Yeah,
he was the man behind Tipton Baggies, and we used to the Wagon and Horses or the Rising Sun. They were the two pubs. I think in one of them there's Alec Jackson corner.
Yeah. And
Paul got on well with Alec Jackson toward the end of Alec's life. Yet it was a stunning day really when I was told that he'd passed away, because he was such a great character and such a great Albion fan, and you could always talk to him, and he organised so many things. And it was all the money, all the profits went to the Albion Foundation.
Yeah, he was absolutely excellent at that. You mentioned Alex Jackson, the pub, but the Rising Sun in Tipton has got that memorial corner for Alex Jackson. Yeah, with lots of other Albion photos in it as well.
And that was Paul.
Yeah,
so he did that.
100% down to him, and it was his brother runs the pub as well. Yeah. So it's very much a sad loss. Another sad loss as well, and you know I'm writing a book about the history of the Sports Argus at the moment, so this really interested me as well, is that one of the former Sports Argus big chiefs, if you like, was Leon Hickman, who passed away this week as well. Lots of people have got fond memories of him as well over the years, and there have been quite a few good comments that people have made on our Facebook page, which is the Sports Argus Eye on the Midlands. So if anybody wants to contribute to that or see what people have said about him, please log on to that. That's the Sports Argus, the Eye on the Midlands. The Sports Argus, great paper in the past.
Yeah, well, all those papers were great, weren't they? I loved them, the green uns, the pink uns, whatever they were, all around the country. I used to love it at home, and if I couldn't get to a Luton game, sometimes the first time you found out who'd scored the goals on any particular day was through the, whatever it was called, the pink, the green, the Argus, because, radio didn't cover every game in the same way, and there wasn't anything like teletext, or certainly didn't have text messages on phones. And so they were a wonderful institution. It's so sad they've gone. I mean, it is just typical, the path of progress, but I still love that evening paper, and I thought the Argus was terrific. And when I was a reporter on the Birmingham Post, it was obviously in the same building, and so I knew everyone who worked there, including Leon Hickman, Ian Johnson, Dave Leggett, other great names, Dennis Shaw, Ray Matz.
Yeah.
There's some great guys there. And people probably don't realise how hard they had to work to cover a game for those papers, a running story. You just, every time something happens, you do send in another paragraph, don't you?
Yeah.
And put a top paragraph right at the end to say, Albion came from behind to win 3-2 in a dramatic, league encounter at Hawthorns this afternoon. But the rest of it was just, as it happened chronologically.
That's right.
A monumental effort to put those papers together.
The average reader obviously didn't realise how much effort went into it when they read it, but it's just looking back on it, you think just how quick
absolutely
it
amazing.
came out.
Amazing, yeah, and it was also packed with features. There were regular columnists, weren't there, players from each club, and always a great read. It's a sad day when all those papers are gone. I think they probably have all gone now, around the whole country.
The one in Portsmouth was the last one to go, so
I used to love the Evening Echo down Luton way.
The one thing on the Sports Argus, they had their own writers as well. There was the late Ralph Ellis.
Oh yeah, Ralph.
There was Rob Bishop.
Yeah.
There was Peter White.
Yeah.
Now these three guys, obviously they got the editor. They were expected to come up with an exclusive when they were working there. Now you try and do that.
What, every week?
Every week. They got to come up with some sort of exclusive every week for the Argus.
Wow.
Now that's difficult because they're surrounded by journalists from the Mail, from the Post, and from the Nationals. And the Nationals as well. You try and keep a story secret, it's going to be hard, but those three did it.
Yeah.
No, brilliant.
So it was May 2006, so coming up to the 20th anniversary early next year, which is when I hope to bring the Sports Argus book out, when the Argus finished. And we've got a little clip here. This is you, Nick, actually, presenting on Midlands Today, introducing a story about the very last edition.
Oh, gosh, really?
Now, a page in sporting history will be written tomorrow, and it'll be for the last time. The final Birmingham Sports Argus will be coming off the presses after bringing football reports to generations of fans every Saturday evening. Amazingly, for the time, you could read about your team within minutes of the match's ending.
Yeah, it all began in 1897 when Aston Villa moved to Villa Park. After the war, 400,000 copies were sold every Saturday. It was the first to report England's 1966 World Cup victory. Now, though, the internet, telly and local radio mean you can get results instantly, of course, and matches are spread over the whole weekend.
Right, so you just killed it off.
Wow,
you killed it off with local radio. Come on, Nick.
I tell you what, I'm really glad that I did
yourself.
a piece about it. I'm really glad I did that. Yeah, I know. Well, it is all part of it, isn't it? Local radio became, instant in terms of people getting scores and things. And that was a great thing to be part of, actually. It was the most successful thing on BBC local radio then when I was doing it, and I should think it probably is still, because, there was so much detail about the 6 clubs that we specifically covered at BBC Radio Birmingham, as it was then, in this region. And 5 of those clubs are in the top flight. There's Wolves, West Brom, Birmingham, Villa, Coventry City, and Walsall were in probably the 3rd division at the time. But we covered them all in great depth, and interviews of the players after every game and things like that, and goal reports as they happened, which again, didn't happen so much on national radio. They did live goals, but they didn't do every game in the way that they probably do now in the Premier League anyway. And so it was a great access for people, and the audience was huge compared to the rest of the week on BBC local radio then.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit more in a minute. But you started off in newspapers, of course, and it was the Donny Evening Post, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Your very first. And now, a fantastic bit of trivia I found, and I think you'll confirm this. You started your job on the Doncaster Evening Post, your first newspaper, 21st of July 1969, which is when man landed on the moon.
Yeah, 2 seismic international events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've been over the moon ever since. One or 2 craters in between times, but
but the moon landing got a bit more publicity than my first day at the Doncaster Evening Post. Yeah. But I had 2.5 wonderful years there. My first proper job. I was at university at Leeds, so I was happy to stay in Yorkshire.
Right. I was going to ask you how you came up with Doncaster.
I applied to Yorkshire Newspaper Group, and that was one of their outlets. And so, within 3 weeks of leaving university, I was at the Doncaster Evening Post. Yeah. Glamorous.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I had a brilliant time, earning 12 quid a week, and, suddenly you're out there. Wow.
Yeah. Fabulous. Then you got it big. Then you came to Birmingham. You came to the
Yeah.
big city, into Birmingham Post.
Yeah. My plan was to, sort of go up the ladder. I was aiming to get to Fleet Street, really, and be a columnist on the Sunday Times or something like Michael Parkinson was at the time, that sort of thing. Someone told me about the Birmingham Post being a highly regarded daily newspaper, broadsheet, and I applied and I got a job, and I came there in about, 71-ish. And had 2 great years there, but of course local radio was just starting up then. And I kept meeting people when I was out on stories, and they were from local radio, and they said, "Oh, this is great, you'd love it." And so in the end I was persuaded to apply. It took me 3 goes to get in.
Did it?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know why you were turned down the first?
Well, I mean, actually the first job I applied for at the BBC was actually as a scriptwriter, sort of news assistant, it was called, on Midlands Today, and I got turned down for that. And then that similar job came up again, and I applied and got turned down for that. So twice Midlands Today turned me down in about 1973-ish or 2-ish. And then one on local radio came, and that one I got. So I don't know why I was turned down. There were just better applicants, I suppose, for Midlands Today. But I did get the local radio one, and that's when I suddenly realised that was where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I loved broadcasting. I loved telling a story vocally without, having to sort of write it down as such. I could tell it as it happened, as it was, immediate. I loved that.
Yeah, and there's some great characters around at the time, because I think your first bulletin that you did was during the Les Ross show.
That's right, yeah, who was already a legend then.
Yeah.
I think I read the news live at 8 o'clock in the morning or something during the Les Ross show. A little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But it still is going live on radio or TV, so, still... you have to concentrate.
And there's some good names around, like Barney Bamford was presenting
yes,
at the
gosh,
time,
do you
wasn't
remember
he?
him? Yeah. Yeah, great guy. And Jeffrey Green.
Jeffrey Green.
Alan
John
Towers.
Pike was doing the results as well.
Well, he wasn't at the time. I got him in.
Oh, you got him in later, yeah.
No, what happened with John Pike was amongst other things, when I became sports producer of BBC Radio Birmingham, we had a programme called Sport for All, which was basically a sports council engineered programme talking about participant sports rather than professional sports. And he came in to talk about table tennis. He was actually in the commercial department at ATV. And we got on really well, and he said he's a great fan of sport on Saturday. And I said, well, do you want to be involved? And he said, oh, I'd love to. So he came in every Saturday afternoon, ended up reading the football results, and became a really great friend.
Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Now the goal horn. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
Da da da. Go on.
Yeah.
Your claim to fame, really.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, my only claim to fame. I'm very proud of it. It was some time when I was in charge of sport at Radio Birmingham, and I and a guy called Steve Middleton, who was a sort of technical guy, we wondered whether we could alert people to a goal, because we know that people don't just sit there listening to the radio with their arms folded all afternoon. They're doing stuff.
They're busy doing things
yeah,
in the kitchen or the living
preparing a
room,
meal,
whatever.
or they
Yeah.
might be under the bonnet of the car, anything like that. So how can we alert people? And so we came up with the idea of a goal horn. And it got adapted over the years, I think, because it ends up with "It's a Goal" now. We didn't do that, we just had the goal horn.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was certainly introduced in the mid-70s. And very proud of that.
That's a good claim to fame. It's a good trivia quiz question for one of my quizzes. That.
Yeah.
Now, you obviously did news as well when you started off, and alongside Jim Rosenthal, of course.
Yeah. Jim and I are born 5 days apart.
Oh, really?
We were very close friends then, and still are now. And we started a couple of weeks apart at Radio Birmingham. And so when the guy who's in charge of sport left early on, Jim took over because he'd already got involved. And then when Jim left, I took over. And it was all quite voluntary, working on Saturdays, just an extra day. You went because you loved being at the Hawthorns or Villa Park or Molineux or whatever.
One of the sad things that you did, you two together kept the station running during the pub bombings.
I know, yeah.
Which must have been pretty horrendous.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were both pretty young, only in our 20s, and suddenly to have something like that going on, and we were both on duty that night. And Jim actually went to the Mulberry Bush very soon after the bombs went off, and he saw some pretty horrific sights, which devastated him. I didn't go till about 3:30, 4 a.m. the next morning, so I was doing live reports in a radio car from outside the Mulberry Bush every sort of 20 minutes or so. And then rush hour came, and traffic was still going past. In these days everything would be cordoned off the whole city centre, but it was very different then. So I won't forget that night in a hurry, my goodness. And still think about it now, 50 years on. Still do.
Yeah.
I remember that night because when he came out on the news, about 10 minutes later, I had a telephone call from the news desk and said, be prepared to come in because there's going to be a special edition. Be prepared to come in. And I said, yeah, okay then. And they said, if we want you in, we'll ring you in the next half an hour. So I just sat up waiting, but we didn't get a call. They just basically it was front, back, inside, back, inside, front, everything. It was just all about the bombing.
Yeah.
So I can remember that. Just talking about Barney Bamford and Jim Rosenthal.
Yes.
When I was on the Walsall Observer covering games, I would used to sit next to Jim.
Did you? Yeah.
And Barney was the producer then, and it was amazing later on when I had that sort of problem with the Walsall Observer and Walsall Football Club, that I did match reports for Radio Birmingham.
Yeah.
But Roger Moody was in charge.
Yes, yeah. He
And
did
then-
stuff for me as well, I think, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember our trips abroad, mate.
I don't.
You introduced me to Rio Tinto.
Well, talking about trips abroad, it brings us on nicely. Just jump ahead a little bit because keep it in order here. UEFA Cup, but you were over in Valencia, weren't you?
Yeah.
Covering the match.
Well, we'd done Sporting
with
Braga,
yourself.
hadn't we?
Yeah, I didn't do Sporting Braga because I was due to leave Radio Birmingham to go to ATV, to go to television
right.
quite soon. So I suggested that the guy who was going to be my successor should go. It made more sense, Tim Russon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was Tim. Yeah.
But I did go to Valencia, yeah, and also Fenerbahce as well.
Oh, I didn't
when
go
they
there.
played at Izmir.
That's right. Because they'd Galatasaray had been banned, hadn't they, from their own ground because of crowd trouble.
Yeah. In fact, when I was at Izmir, it was Albion, wasn't it, against Fenerbahce or Galatasaray? No.
Galatasaray.
Galatasaray, okay. I phoned home and my wife told me I'd got a letter through the post from Billy Wright offering me a job at ATV. So I can remember Izmir very well.
Excellent.
That was life-changing, as you can imagine.
And one of your favourite sayings, Bob, is Radio
Telefonica
Telefonica
Madrid.
Madrid.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was, as I said before, Radio, was it Radio 2 then?
Yes, it would have been.
Peter
Jones and
Peter
Bob
Jones was
Huddleston.
doing it.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get the line through
Yeah.
from Madrid, but we had to Radio Birmingham.
Yeah.
And all this, Telefonica Madrid, and there was getting no response. And Peter Jones, I think the producer came in, or Peter Jones came in and said, look, we may have to swap studios because Radio 2 needs the live line, and you're the only one that's got it.
Yeah.
And then just before kick-off, when we were all getting ready to move, the line
They
came
got it
in.
back.
They got it back, and
It was very touch and go doing those foreign games. I seem to remember all the commentary I did was on a telephone, actually holding a phone.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a microphone when it was abroad. I remember doing one from Antwerp and Izmir, as I said, and also Valencia. But what a game that was at Valencia.
yeah, it was always. I mean, we always say it was the day that Laurie Cunningham sold himself to Real Madrid.
Without question, he was sensational, wasn't he, that night?
Yeah.
And it was, I was also, I was comparatively young then. I hadn't been abroad much. So going to somewhere like Valencia was really exciting, and seeing orange groves. I'd never seen orange groves before and things like that. Because, my generation going abroad was pretty rare. I didn't go abroad till, for a sort of holiday with mates, till I was about 21, 22. It was the first time in the heat of the sort of Mediterranean. I never experienced that at all. So it was all still quite a novelty to me. But Laurie Cunningham was brilliant. It was a great result, and Albion were on fire at that time, weren't they? It was.
Yeah, they were the team to watch, weren't they?
I have some great memories from that time, particularly when they won at Old Trafford. That 5-3 was it?
5-3 game.
I mean, in those days, you didn't beat Manchester United. And in fact, it wasn't allowed, was it?
No.
You weren't even allowed to win at Old Trafford.
I don't think Fergie Time had come in then, though, had he?
But, I was editing that game with a team, back at ATV Studios. So I was watching it live coming in and ultimately editing it for Star Soccer the next day with Hugh Johns and people like that. And it was just a brilliant night. And that was one of the games I really treasure watching because Albion was so brilliant.
The
I also
goals.
The
Goals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
beautifully created.
everyone. I mean, when you look at it, if you get a videotape of the game, that could have finished 6-6. I mean, Tony Godden pulled off some great, but Gary Bailey did.
Yeah,
They pulled off some great saves. But I mean, there was the Lencantello on the, the back heel from Cyril.
Yeah.
Straight into Cantello's. But you needed a slide rule to get it that perfect.
Yeah.
And Leonard got it, and Cyril had got it, the back pass.
Yeah.
And then Ali Brown
Yeah.
into Cyril.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
The commentary was brilliant as well. Joel
Simstat,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Oh, what a goal! he was just totally incredulous, wasn't he? That what was going
But I
on.
mean, the interesting thing about that commentary as well with Gerald Sinstad, he was the only commentator who said about the abuse that
Oh, yeah.
Brendan, Cyril, and Laurie were getting from the Old Trafford fans.
Did he? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But talking about Cyril, I'm pretty sure I saw his debut and his first game, the first league game. His debut was League Cup, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And then a league game on the
Rotherham,
Saturday.
wasn't it?
Yeah, and I saw both those, and wow, spectacular! What a signing! Ronnie Allen, wasn't it, who sort of really chanced his arm and said, "Look, we really need to sign this guy."
They wanted, they'd agreed a fee, and the Hayes directors had said, look, if he plays for England, we want another 5,000. And Ronnie said, don't, Dorothy, he won't play for England.
But the fee was 5, wasn't it? The actual original fee. And Ronnie was prepared to pay it himself.
Yes, we've heard that story. Yeah, that's just amazing,
yeah,
isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Absolutely brilliant.
But Ronnie was a great guy. I got to know him really well, and Johnny Giles, and Ron Atkinson in particular, who I saw at a party about 2 weeks ago.
He's amazing. Isn't he?
Yeah, I used to play squash with Ron Atkinson. It wasn't easy trying to get round him. Bloody great tank in the middle of the room.
Brilliant stuff.
But I just there were some great guys at Albion in the 70s, particularly when I was really very involved. And John Osborne, keeper, great guy, and Jim Coombs, who moved on, as you know, to Aston Villa and so on. They're really, really close friends, good social friends, But people like John Weil, what a good guy he was. I really like John Weil. And loads of others. There were some really nice people.
Of course, Jim Coombs had a show on
Radio Birmingham. That's how we became friends, because I just started at Radio Birmingham about 73-ish, and that was probably the same time that he started his show, his Sunday lunchtime show. And he became great buddies with me and loads of others on the station, because he was such a great guy. And of course he had the added dimension of cricket. He was a particularly interesting sort of type of guy to have around.
Yeah. Brilliant. Now we've got a couple of clips of you in action on Radio WM. Radio Birmingham, actually. Going back to 19...
He wouldn't have come if he'd have told him.
Not quite 50 years ago, but near enough it makes no difference. Here's the first one.
And welcome to our new style Weekend of Sport, which runs right through until 6:30. As before, we'll be looking at coming events on Saturday and Sunday, as well as reflecting on the news of the past week. We'll be talking to Dennis Amis, for instance, about his double century in the Oval Test match, and in cycling we'll be hearing about the National Amateur Road Race Championships on Sunday at Wolverhampton. There'll also be our regular racing spot with Barry Slaney, but the emphasis this weekend must be on the start of the football season. Johnny Giles will be talking about Albion's challenge on their return to Division 1. John Craven, the Coventry captain, considers the new season at Highfield Road. And Alan Buckley of Walsall promises more goals for the fans at Fellows Park.
Right, how about that then? That's slightly distorted over the years, I think. It's been on a woolly cassette since 1976. Very clipped BBC type tones.
Oh, I know. Gosh, yeah. I'm talking very quickly. I can't believe that's quite how it came out. But anyway.
You mentioned Johnny Giles there, of course. And Johnny Giles, around that time, was a big famous game at Luton. Luton Albion got sent off for having a go at the Future twins.
Yes, that's right, yeah. I mean, I think Ronnie Future, it was the striker, who wound him up a bit. And then Johnny reacted. And off he went, and we won 3-2, I think.
Yeah, you did.
I wasn't going to mention the score.
But I think, if I'm right in thinking that day, I saw one of my sons score his first ever 50 playing at cricket as well for his school.
Excellent, brilliant. Right. Well, we've got one more clip. Not that we want to embarrass you, of course.
No, well, you've done enough of that already, to be honest.
This is from 1976 with Jim Rosenthal, who we mentioned earlier.
but it's gaining a reputation for defensive football away from home, despite what manager John Bond says. Ali Brown squeezed one through goalkeeper Kevin Keelan's legs, and then just after half-time, Tony Brown was fouled. He got up to score from the penalty. Nick Owen reports for Sports Extra.
Yes, Albion have earned their first win, and they got it thanks to their cool, efficient and accurate build-up. The hallmark, of course, of their captain, their manager, Johnny Giles. As always, he played with real precision, and he was superbly backed up in midfield by Mick Martin and Tony Brown. Really, I could find little fault with Albion, except they should have made more use of Willie Johnston, especially in the early parts of the match when they couldn't break through down the middle. He was well marked, though. There were often 3 men surrounding him as soon as the play came near him. Well, Paddy Mulligan had a fine game in defence and attack. I must mention Joe Mayo and Alistair Brown up front. Often a thankless task, but they ran and ran. They combined well at times, with some delicate flicks in the air and on the ground, particularly from Joe Mayo.
Wow, some great Albion names of the past there.
I know.
Bomber Brown,
Yeah.
Willie Johnston, what an entertainer.
Yeah, I loved watching Willie Johnston. Wasn't it true someone sold him a greenhouse when he was
Oh,
taking
yeah.
a corner?
You took a corner, yeah.
Yeah. Things were a bit different then, weren't
yeah.
they? Gosh.
Alan Moore, who does a lot of Albion stuff, didn't he tell the story about when he was playing for Vancouver Whitecaps and he had borrowed a drink off somebody?
Yeah, but he had a bottle of beer. I think it was a
That's
bottle
right.
of beer on the wall at the corner flag. So
That's right, yeah, good.
I'm sure he did it, but he made sure the ball went out for the corner so he could go and have a swig of drink.
I mean, things have changed so much. Just on that theme, I remember when Luton played against Liverpool away in the old First Division sometime in the 80s. And Luton went through 3 goalkeepers in that game and got injured. You know, the first one was Jake Findlay, who was a goalkeeper, the late Jake Findlay, sadly. And he went off when we had Kirk Stevens and Mal Donaghy went in goal later. We drew the game 3-3. But the point is that Jake Findlay sat on the bench watching the rest of the game, having been injured. And there's shots of him having a fag. Can you imagine that now?
Well, there's a famous picture of John Osborne, the Albion goalkeeper. During the match.
Somebody flicked a cigarette at him, he picked it up and started having a drag.
And of course the photographer as well.
They'll be sacked now, suspended for a month.
Great entertainers.
Yeah.
Jeff Astl's a good example of an entertainer as well.
I know. What a legend. I mean, when I was getting into the game and really getting to understand it, he was a really big name, of course, even though I was a southern boy. But it was a privilege to get to know him quite well over the years. And I did a feature on him called Where Are They Now, when he had that window cleaning business. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I had a lovely feature with him and his window cleaning business. And also, I worked with him a few times on that Fantasy Football League programme with Frank Skinner, and David Baddiel. And I went on that as a guest quite often, and Jeff, of course, sang a song always. I remember standing outside the dressing room while he was rehearsing songs, and "Come on, Irene," with Lorraine, his missus, sort of pointing to the words on the script and things like that. Lovely memories.
Lorraine was a guest on the last programme actually with Dawn as well. They were talking
really?
about the
Bless
MBE
their
that
hearts.
she just got. That was a really good programme that was as well. So that was really good. Excellent stuff. Now you're listening to the Throstle Club on Black Country Radio Extra, and later in the month you may well be listening to this on my website tntnews.co.uk or on Spotify and other bits and pieces like that. There's that many around these days.
Yeah.
Billy, you never know
No idea.
what it's going to be on.
No idea. The kids come in and I ain't got a clue what they're talking about.
I'm just trying to get down with the youngsters as well myself.
I've only just learned that you drap a single now.
Oh,
don't
do
you?
you?
Yeah.
Oh,
when you release a single, you drap it.
That's useful. Thank
So,
you.
Well,
yeah,
thanks
so
for that.
do you remember that?
That's worth coming just to find that out, isn't it? But
Just while we're talking about legends, I must mention Brian Robson.
oh yeah.
I mean, what a great guy he was to deal with from a press point of view, I always found.
Oh, he was.
But, and a sensational footballer. But I was actually in his house doing an interview with him and his wife Denise alongside when the phone rang, and it was Ronnie Allen to say he'd had the call from Old Trafford. Would you drive up there immediately to see Ron Atkinson?
Blimey.
And so Denise and I waved Robbo away as he went off to Old Trafford.
Well, that's a good
little
memory, isn't it?
historic memory.
Yeah. So it's your fault. Well,
Yes. I was trying to get him to join Luton. But, he didn't think he was ready for the step up at that stage.
Right, now, this is it, Billy.
Oh,
The moment you've been waiting for.
wow.
We always have a light-hearted quiz.
Oh, no.
Right, so I know we're dropping this in on
What's the
on
subject?
you.
What's the subject?
So the subject today, in honour of your good self,
It'll be Luton Town.
Well, I might have a chance. Then.
Because you like puns and the likes.
Oh.
Pun headlines from the
Right.
Sports Argus in days gone by.
Go on then.
Right, so shout out the answers.
Is this a quiz?
Billy's keeping the score.
Oh, you ain't doing your team today?
I'm building. No,
Oh,
no
okay.
team today. We're going
No
straight,
team,
straight
okay.
into the quiz today. So it's not from Norwich, but we've got the knowledge. It's the
Yay.
quiz of the week.
Okay.
Right, here we go.
Right, just shout out the answers then. So these are headlines from the Sports Argus. So the puns basically. So first one, tell me the ground, White Hart Break Lane.
I think we can kind of
White
guess
Hart
that one,
Lane.
can't
Go
we?
on then.
The home of Spurs.
Yeah.
Home of
White
Spurs.
Hart Lane.
Right, now then.
It gets one for that.
That's Villa Luton.
One specially for you here. Villa Hattered.
Villa stuffed by Luton Town.
Indeed,
It happened so many times, I couldn't pick out the game. You know.
Yeah, there's so many headlines like that I could have used. So we'll give you that one. Right, what's this one about, Villa?
Hat-trick for Bobby Cram. Was it 3
Bobby
penalties?
Crams in 3 when he got 3
Bob
penalties.
gets that one then.
Didn't it? Which, way back in 1964 that one was
Yeah.
as well. Right. Nick, Dion Del Livers.
Was it Dion Dublin?
Dion Dublin and
Yeah.
point for that.
That's it, Southampton?
Del Southampton, where
Yeah.
Southampton plays.
What?
So bonus
No,
mark,
never got that.
bonus mark for that.
Come on, Bob.
I'm on fire, Bob.
Come on, Bob.
One for you, Bob.
Come on, Bob.
This one says Ipswich Walk It, spelled W-A-R-K.
Yeah, well, it's the goalkeeper.
So,
Not a
no,
goalkeeper.
He wasn't a goalkeeper.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
Midfield.
Oh, no, of course he was. Well, I think you
point,
walk
point
it.
off, Bob, for that, for getting that right.
Walk
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Was that the cup final?
So that wasn't actually the cup final one. That was hang on, I can't find it. I've got it on my list. Back in January '79. That was. So when played the Albion, I think that one.
Who got a
Next
point for
one.
that? I'm losing track here.
Give that one to Nick, I think.
Okay.
Right. Holt. Hugo is there.
Hugo Ekiov.
Hugo Ekiov. Right.
Bob.
I think. Oh, yeah.
See what? What's here?
That was in
He's seen the fiend, seen
1998.
him before I have.
Yeah, he sent these, Nick, last night.
What about this one then? Lambs break.
Tamworth.
Tamworth. Oh, I think just about in there first. Bob, I think.
Okay, I'll give you
Right.
that.
Next one. Black Mark. It's Dennis off again.
Mark Dennis.
Mark Dennis.
Mark Dennis.
Yeah.
Who was
Okay.
Birmingham.
Sent
serial
off.
sender off.
creeping
Right
up,
back.
Sender
creeping
off,
up.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now, this is
Did we get half a point
He had
for
a bigger-
Birmingham City?
Birmingham, go on then.
Go on, then I'll give him half a point.
Right.
He had
Now,
got a bigger
Oh.
crime sheet than one of the crazy.
Oh, 2 points. 2 points for that.
allegedly.
I sat in front of one of the crays. at a
Oh, that's
funeral.
another point.
Diana Dawes' funeral, I did.
Oh, that's another point.
Oh, that bonus point for that.
He was singing out of tune, but I didn't tell him.
Oh, blimey.
Right, another headline from the Birmingham Works matches. This
What?
Ooh.
M&B's quick ones put Vono to sleep.
Was this? Is that football?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the Birmingham Works. It's Mitchells and Butlers against, well, it's now Dewport. It was Vono.
Vono, what did they make?
Beds.
Beds, hence
Beds.
Well
to
done.
sleep. So
Yeah.
bonus mark for Bob.
Oh.
Okay.
In fact, he explained that
Very
quite well.
good
so
knowledge.
Yes,
give him a
give
bonus
him
for
a
that.
bonus
Yeah,
on that
for
one.
Yeah. All right then.
We've got a few left. Now, this is my
Okay.
most famous, my favourite one of the lot from December 1974. Hey ho, it's Mayho.
Well, I presume it's
Joe
to do
Mayo.
with Albion
Yeah,
and Joe Mayo. Yeah.
Joe Mayo.
Hey ho, silver lining.
Give him a bonus mark for that.
Oh.
Add into that.
Do you know who recorded that?
What?
I.O. Silver Lining.
Jeff
I.O.
Beck.
Silver Lining. Jeff Beck, oh blimey, he's not only sporty.
Right, what's the scores?
I hate to
2,
think.
4, 6, 7, 8, 9 to Bob so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 and a half. So it's tight.
Right, we've got about 4 or 5 left, I think.
Right.
So
Okay.
shout them out. This
Yeah.
one, people all. Peter Pan's Villa.
Not Peter McParland.
Not Peter McParland.
Peter
but it could
Latchford.
well have been. This is
Latchford.
1991, Peter.
With?
a local derby.
Pete with?
No, it could well have been, but this instance, when they play Coventry,
Peter Pan.
So is it a commentary player then?
Yeah.
Is it? Is it a commentary player?
yeah,
Oh, goals.
Rhodesian, I think he was.
Who was the one who said goals are my game?
Oh, the winger.
Yeah.
Kojak.
No,
Bodak.
Bodak you're thinking of, but no.
No.
No. Peter Undlove.
Peter Undlove.
Yeah.
No points there. No points there.
Dead easy one here. Boy George, it's Charlie.
Charlie
George.
Charlie
County,
George.
or-
Cup final win.
H.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was it. Blades cut up Villa.
Sheffield
Well,
United.
Sheffield
United.
United for Nick.
Okay.
Now then, Lewis breaks squeal.
So
Now
is
then.
it a reference to
It's a
Formula
reference
One?
to- no, it's a football
Denise
one.
Lewis. No.
No, Lewis is just a player from an opposing team, but breaks.
Oh, God.
Braggs is Leamington.
Leamington, correct?
Ooh.
Yes.
Leamington.
Robert
Yeah,
Downing.
it was and the very last one, future looks bright.
Oh, Paul Futcher, probably.
Yeah.
What a
Oh,
player he
it's
was.
gotta
Tell
be
you what, if he hadn't been badly
2,
injured in
4,
the car
5,
crash,
6,
he'd
7,
he's
have
not
been
Hampton.
probably more.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
So
was sensational.
that headline was in reference to him making the grade for the under-21s
Yeah,
for England.
yeah. Oh, gosh,
Yep.
he was a good
But
player.
more
So it's-
importantly, the scores on the doors.
10 to Bob and 13.5 to Nick.
Well done, Nick.
So
Best
No,
score
I'll
ever.
sleep happy
Yay.
tonight.
Nick is the winner of the Quiz of the Week.
Congrats.
This is the Throstle Club with Norman Bartlam and Bob Downing.
Right, and we've got our special guest now. He's just calming down in the middle, having
Well,
been
yeah.
crowned the winner of the competition quiz.
Yeah.
What's it feel like to be a winner?
Well, it's something I'm not really used to as a Luton fan. But I'm very excited to be a genius here.
There should be there should be like a bag of scratchings or something.
Yeah.
So there is a
Should,
prize.
something
or
glamorous
something.
like that.
I think-
Yeah.
I think
You'll
we'll,
have to
we'll
think-
have to
Yeah.
introduce that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, let's go back to a bit more about your career. You were up against, in a way, BRMB when you were on the radio, and of course you
Yeah.
must have come across the great Tony Butler.
Of course, yeah, he's a great mate in the end. Yeah, I mean, BRMB really arrived, didn't they, like a bolt out the blue, and he transformed sports coverage, certainly in the Midlands, but I would have thought across the country.
But
he
he
was
introduced
different,
the phone
wasn't he?
in, didn't they?
Yeah, he was a great guy, and we were a bit more staid, and that never really changed in my time there. But after doing 5 years at local radio, I was approached by ATV to go and have a go at television, which was a gamble. 6-month contract. I was on the staff at the BBC, and by this time I'm busy going to London and following my mate Jim Rosenthal to Sport on 2 and things like that. And so I went to ATV and given this contract, and it was a bit worrying in a way, a bit insecure, but luckily they took me onto staff very quickly and had some great experiences. I mean, I commentated on the World Cup in 1982 for ITV. I was in the very room when Trevor Francis signed for Nottingham Forest. ATV had an exclusive to just me and my friend and producer Trevor East and our cameraman and Brian Clough and Peter Taylor and Trevor and Helen Francis and the Nottingham Forest secretary, and that was just us there. And I interviewed Brian Clough then for the first time ever. I interviewed him many times subsequently, but that was something I really treasure. And while we're talking about Trevor, I don't know whether you saw pictures of his statue that was unveiled.
Yeah.
at Stanley
Yes,
Road. It's
that
a
was good,
fantastic statue.
Yeah.
He became a really close friend. It was devastating when he died so young. Hadn't even reached 70 or something like that. I remember getting a phone call from our mutual friend, Bev Bevan, of ELO, Wolves supporter, I'm afraid, to say, have you heard? And I said, no, what? He said, Trevor's just died this morning. And it was, oh my God, it was awful. But it was a great privilege to be in the room for that historic moment when the first ever £1 million player moved clubs in England. It was really something else.
Must have been amazing, that.
I went to ATV and it was great learning television and finding out about that. But while I was there, I got approached by this new breakfast station, which was just about to open, and they wanted a sports presenter. And they offered me the job, and it was a gamble because I thought no one's going to watch breakfast telly. Who's going to watch breakfast telly in this country? Because of course then no one had tellies in the bedroom or the kitchen or anything. It was just in the living room, and no one went in the living room in the morning. They just went off to work, didn't they? And so it was a bit of a gamble, but it paid off. And as I say, after it started as a sports presenter on the very first day of Good Morning Britain. 8 weeks later, I was the main presenter. It was just unbelievable. Suddenly on the front page of the Times, the Sun, and everything in between. And it really did change my life. But I'm really proud to be a pioneer of those times. And of course, breakfast television and Good Morning Britain are, established institutions now. But it was,
Yeah.
it was a testing time because the ratings were very poor early on because A, people didn't want to watch breakfast, and B, they thought Selina Scott and Frank Boff were a better bet on the other side.
Yeah.
But I'm delighted to say within a few months, especially when Anne joined me, we really took off.
How did that come about with Anne joining you?
Well, I started presenting with Angela and Anna, Angela Rippon and Anna Ford, and then someone else called Linda Berry. But I was called in saying they wanted to find a new presenter to go alongside me. Could I recommend anyone, basically? And I said Anne Diamond. And they said, who's she? And I said, well, she's currently with Nationwide, having been with me at Central, as ATV had become. And they said, can we meet her? And Greg Dyke met her that night in the pub. 6 weeks later, she was next to me. And it was, a long and enduring partnership and friendship. And we're still very close and still speak to each other a lot. And of course, 10 years later, we got together again to do Good Morning with Anne and Nick, which was a mid-morning show. And that came from Birmingham, which brought me back to the Midlands, having disappeared and gone back down south to my hometown to present breakfast telly. I then came back up here, and I've been here ever since. We did 600 of those, which was great fun.
Wow.
Yeah, which was great fun to do. But in between, I did ITV Sport.
Yeah.
And
There was a quiz programme as well, wasn't there? We got it new.
Sporting Triangles.
Yeah.
Used to get 14 million, watching
Is
that.
it?
14
Was it
million,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
There were only 3 channels, of course, then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
And
4, perhaps,
Yeah. Didn't you do the voiceover for Bullseye as
Yeah,
well?
I did for a couple of series. Again, they were struggling, and they needed someone to do the voiceover, and I still lived locally, although I'd gone to London by this stage to do TVAM, breakfast telly. I was still temporarily living in Birmingham, so they called me in to do the voiceovers for Bullseye.
Yeah.
I actually became a guest on it as well one time.
You did well, actually.
Well, I'm hopeless at darts, but I got a few on the board.
You did well at that. Yeah. But back at the ATV today, just to move back a bit.
Yeah.
It was Billy Wright, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you'd have seen him playing football, of course.
Oh,
what a great player he was.
absolutely, yeah.
And then to be with him now, working with him, must have been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely spectacular, really. And he had so many stories. He was just a great guy to be with. And of course, getting this job as he did, as a sort of head of sport, it opened so many doors. Because if we were trying to get hold of someone to interview them, and it was difficult to get hold of them, you only got to get Billy Wright on the phone and bang, you're in.
Yeah.
Or if you're at a World Cup or a European Championship or something, and you'd go up to the gate of their training camp of a foreign country, Billy Wright's at the door,
Yeah.
in you go.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic figurehead for ATV. Yeah, there was Billy Wright, and then underneath him was Gary Newborn, and then Trevor East. It was a great time, actually, learning television. We had characters like Terry Thomas on the fishing. Do you remember
Tight
him?
Lines.
Yeah,
Tight Lines.
Terry Biddlecombe on the racing.
Yeah.
Great guys.
Somebody
great
who
guys.
I admired, and luckily I was able to work with him for a few months before with local TV started a few years ago, was Bob Hall.
Yes, I worked with Bob
You had
a long
lots
time,
good
yeah.
memories of him.
Yeah, he was a very smooth presenter, smooth operator.
Very much
good at
so.
his job,
He knew his patch as well.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and what a shock that was. He sort of had a heart attack in the car, didn't he?
That's right.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, when you think about it, Nick, I mean, you've just been talking names there. And somebody told me, or said to me a few years ago, Bob, we had the best of it.
Oh,
And I think they're right.
Question. I think that about life in general,
Yeah.
not just working life. I think
That's right,
generally.
yeah.
To be a teenager in the 60s was just incredible. And what I was lucky to do as well, because all these bands that I was buying their records, like the Kinks, the Animals, the Beatles and all that, I loved all this. In the 80s, these people were sitting on the sofa and I was talking to them. Can you imagine having the Kinks there? All 5 of the Animals, both the Everly Brothers. Ringo Starr coming into the studio, to be interviewed on one.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney ringing up about something I just said, so suddenly I was interviewing Paul McCartney on the phone. Can you believe it? It was just brilliant. And the Bee Gees, all 3 Bee Gees, that was great, as well as interviewing prime ministers and whatever.
Yeah.
Some of these pop stars, it was really, really something else.
Yeah, but not just pop stars though. There's also Roland Rat.
Nicholas. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. I remember there was this guy, a puppeteer, called David Claridge, and he had this idea. He went to our head of children's programming, said, I've come up with this idea of a really impotent, insolent, arrogant rat, like for the children's programs that we were doing at weekends and things like that. And she said, yeah, go for it. Anne Wood, that was, who was also behind the Teletubbies, and Rosie and Jim and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he created this rat, and he went on air first of all, probably April 1983. I think I actually introduced him first time on telly. He was in the rat shed or something.
So what did you think when somebody said, by the way, Nick, you're presenting next to a rat?
Yeah, I know. But it wasn't easy. I thought, God, here I am.
Or
you
more
know.
to the point, what did Roland Rat
Yeah, I know. He was very worried. Here am I, qualified journalist, degree in Latin, Greek and ancient history. I'm interviewing a lump of fluff on the bloody sofa.
No need to talk about Anne Diamond like that.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and the children loved him, and he was a major part in pulling the audience in, because in school holiday times, half terms or whatever, he used to come on at 9 till 9:30 for the kids. And so the kids would say, "Mummy, can you put the telly on so I can watch Roland Rat?" And the parents might put it on 10 minutes before it was due to start, and they'd see a bit of Anne and me interviewing Elton John or whoever it might be. And I think they got pulled into it as well, and that helped lure parents in to see the rest of our programme.
No, it's a good
which
point,
was,
that, isn't it?
yeah, which I'm very proud of. You know, it was creating the format, really, you know, for breakfast television, which still survives to this day, really.
Yeah.
Had a great mix, you know, with the heavy stuff, interviewing Arthur Scargill or something like that in the middle of the miners' strike, and then at the same time interviewing comedians, you know, loads in. We had Bob Hope on and people like that, and Eric Morecambe, incidentally,
of course.
Yeah.
who's my absolute
Great
all-time
Luke,
hero.
of course.
Bring Me Sunshine is my ringtone on my
I
phone.
know that, and I'll tell you
Oh.
why. You won't remember this, but I did an interview with you
Yeah.
once on Birmingham TV when you were doing some work for the Commonwealth War Graves Commission in
Oh,
Warstone
yes.
Lane Cemetery.
Gosh.
And the interview was going really well. I thought, oh, great, I've got to interview that Nick Owen bloke. I was absolutely chuffed. And unfortunately, your phone went off halfway through the interview in the graveyard.
solemn
You
interview.
Bring me sunshine. I thought that was hilarious. And anyway, we've just got 30 seconds or so left. We haven't talked about Pamela Stevenson yet, trying to pull your trousers down.
Yeah, I know. Gosh. Yeah, well,
You'll have to come back again, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I just had a back operation as well.
Yeah.
I was wearing a sort of concrete corset, zipped up, and it was very painful. And she was trying to promote her one-woman tour, I think. And, she certainly did that. All the front pages, pictures of us. God.
Good, and that was quite interesting. Now, we haven't had time at all to talk about Midlands Today, which I know you could talk for at least an hour on that as well, couldn't you? But unfortunately, time's beaten us. So that's been a really good programme. That's gone really quick, hasn't it?
Yes, enjoyed it. Thank you.
Enjoyed it as much as I have, anyway.
Thank you, I have. It's been a delight. And meeting up with my old mate again. We go back 50 plus years.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. There we go then. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much. And we'll see you, or you'll be able to listen to us again, rather, next month.
Live from the Black Country, online, on your mobile,